Stepmom doesn't want to give me my meds. Update: she flushed them. My mom is flipping out trying to figure out how to get me refills. She's on a business trip right now. My dad is so mad he's screaming at my stepmom. RN. Hi, I'm 13 female. Yes, old enough to have a Reddit lol. Every day I take meds for AD and anxiety and mood stabilizers. My mom and dad divorced a couple years ago. Like right at the beginning of the pandemic. My dad married my stepmom over Christmas. IDK how long he's known her or where they met. I don't like her, she's only like 24. Which is weird because that's only like 3 years older than my sister. And she really doesn't like my mom. So she always says mean stuff about the way my mom parents. And will say stuff about my clothes, hair to criticize my mom. My mom gives whatever meds I'll need to my dad, who leaves them in their master bathroom until I need them. I always lose track of when I need to take my meds. At home we have Alexa alarms set in every room lol because I usually don't have my phone on me. But they won't do that here. So yesterday it was like 5 p.m. before I realized I hadn't taken anything and my dad was at work, so I asked my stepmom and she said that my mom was lazy and she wants me to be able to feel things at her house and I don't need meds to change the way I think. She kept telling me to talk to her and I was like, I am talking to you, I want my meds, but she wouldn't give them to me, so I left and texted my mom and I guess she called my dad because when he got home he flipped out on my stepmom. IDK what happened, but she was crying a lot of the night, but this morning I went into their bathroom to look for them and I found my pill box but it's empty. I guess I'm just going to wait for her to get home and ask her where they are, but tell your mom and your dad ASAP that they're still missing. This is abuse. Stay close and open with your dad about all this. She has no right to interfere with this. Absolutely not. Your stepmom needs to mind her own business and respect your parents' decisions. I'm disgusted by her behavior. Don't let her intimidate you or make you feel bad. Be smart about this. Keep parents updated. Those meds are expensive. She either threw them out, took them, or sold them. Either way, wow. Does your dad know what she tells you about you and mom? No sodding way does she get to decide what medication you have or not. That's between you and your doctor, not her desire for you to be able to feel things. You did the right thing by getting your parents involved, and as someone else said, you need to tell your dad that if he can't keep your medication safe, then you can't go over there. I'm not familiar with your specific medications, but do they require tapering or similar? Her forcing you to go cold turkey could have serious health implications beyond managing your conditions. Do not wait for her to get home. Call 911. Explain she withheld the meds and that when you went to get them for yourself they were gone. She has stolen your medication either to take it for herself, to sell it, or to destroy it. It is medical abuse, which is a crime. It may also be prescription drug abuse too, and maybe even drug dealing. No. Depending on the meds, inconsistent dosage could really mess you up. At 13 you should be able to have possession of them and be responsible for taking them. I could see when you were 10 or 12 that your parents wanted to keep track. At 13 this might be a good thing to be responsible for yourself. Stepmom got reamed by dad because she overstepped without clearing it with him, and there probably would have been bad side effects when you stopped taking them. If you are taking pills, it's for a reason. Stepmom is not a mental health professional. So missing ADHD pills are going to cause bigger issues than your stepmom's hurt feelings. In the US they are heavily regulated, you can't just get a refill early. Most pharmacies and doctors want to see a police report for the theft before giving out more meds early, and theft of a controlled substance is a big deal. Please call your mom. Let her know they're still missing. This isn't something you can handle on your own at 13. Mom is going to have to step in and deal with getting more meds for you. This is one where more information is better. Tell your dad. Tell your mom. Talk to your dad and your stepmom at the same time about it. Ask for a policy they'll agree to enforce that you can trust. If they want to deny you your meds, they can do that. But they owe you a clear answer. Note that if they decide to deny you your meds, your mother may wish to use that as a reason for seeking more custody. Even the current thing, if this batch of your meds was taken, is a huge red flag. Keeping secrets here won't serve you. Get your dad and stepmom in the same place and demand a policy. Get your dad and mom on a phone call or something to agree to this policy. Advice on me, 29 male, leaving wife, 30 female, that I love. Arranged Marigay. Hey guys, using a throwaway for obvious reasons. As the title states, I need advice on leaving my wife, but I want to give the details so you guys can understand. Back in January 2021 my wife and I were introduced to each other with the intention of us getting married. While we are both Americans, we are of South Asian descent where arranged marriages are common. This, along with the fact that neither of us had been in a serious relationship and we were approaching our 30s, there was a lot of pressure to get married, especially since she had one set of grandparents left that were in their last few years. We met and she very honestly told me that she understood that it was an arranged marriage and that she would do this for her family and that the dynamic wouldn't be that of a regular couple. As pressure was mounting from my side as well, I agreed. We met up quite a bit before our wedding day and I began to develop feelings, and by November, we were married. Things were awkward at first, but we grew to at least live comfortably. I did everything I could to move our relationship, but she didn't reciprocate. I brought flowers every Friday, planned date nights that she often refused, but I kept falling even harder for her. Her beauty, bubbly personality, and the way she was wonderful with kids. Things took a turn in Jan when, on the anniversary of our engagement, I decided to surprise her with roses, a necklace, food from her favorite restaurant, and a card in which I wrote that while our situation was weird, I was glad it was with her and that I care about her. Nothing too crazy. I plated the food on the dining table, lit some candles, and went upstairs with the roses and card. She was working and I tried to get her attention, but without looking she just said she was busy. I tried again and she blew up on me, telling me to leave her alone and demanding why I was so needy that day. I was crushed and just muttered happy engagement. I put the roses in a vase and tore up and threw away the card, taking the night to myself. The next morning I apologized for what I believed was abuse and love bombing, and for trying to make our relationship something that it wasn't. I assured her it would never happen again. The weeks went by and I became distant, and it was her that was initiating all our interactions. But seeing her every day and sharing a bed became too much and I couldn't suppress my feelings. Last week I called in a few days off work, packed my bags, loaded the Shelby and took off. After a few hours on the interstate I ended up in some small mountain town where I spent a few days just enjoying nature and fishing. Yesterday had to be one of the best days I've had in a while. As I was driving back to my hotel I was smiling from ear to ear driving my dream car as I listened to the motor whine, and I realized for the first time in a while, I was truly happy being me without the constant reminder of my wife. I've decided that while I love my wife, she doesn't feel the same. I hate melting when I look at her because she doesn't feel anything for me. The sex is awful since there's no intimacy involved. I've decided to propose a plan to my wife when I get home tonight and it is as follows. 1. We will sleep in separate rooms, she will stay in the master and I will take the guest room too. We will get a quiet divorce through a mediator and walk away with our premarital assets. 3. She will be allowed to stay with me until she finds her own place. 4. Until her last grandparents pass, we can still maintain the facade and go to family gatherings together. All I am asking is if this is the right thing to do, Abid, how to break it to her. I've never broken up with someone, much less divorced, so anything is appreciated. That all seems reasonable. You got emotionally hurt here, and that's on you, since she was clear she didn't have feelings for you, and you pushed anyway. As to breaking it to her, that ought to be easy, since she doesn't have feelings for you, except, perhaps, friendship. Just lay out what you intend to do, and get her agreement on the specifics of it. You don't need her approval, OFC, but it could be that both of your families might factor into how you go about doing it, given the arranged marriage part. I do assume that matters, else you wouldn't have agreed to the arranged marriage in the first place. I think you both made a mistake. She was willing to get married to keep her family off her back. So were you. You just happened to develop feelings and she didn't. No one should feel coerced into marriage. It's hard enough when you start out in love. I think you two need to sit down and have a no-holds-barred conversation with each other. You can outline your thoughts here to her, then ask her opinion. You two decide how, if and when you will end your marriage, since you weren't given much of a choice on the start. There is some good advice here, but one thing that stuck out to me was that in your post you don't mention that you have actually discussed your newfound feelings for her. I think maybe it's time you air her down and discuss how you feel and what you'd like to try and explore in the relationship before you head straight to divorce. She honestly might not realize you caught feelings for her. So start there. See if she is receptive. You seem to be taking an awful lot of decisions unilaterally. Why aren't you having this conversation with her? Just like you changed your mind, she may also have done so. Or she may not have even thought about it. Have a chat with her, discuss what you want from the relationship respectively, and then make your decisions. Maybe try secular marriage counseling with her first and not let the family know your intentions. She did warn you that she doesn't see you guys as a typical couple. While you fell in love quickly and enthusiastically, she is slower to react. She may be the kind who is slower to warm. It feels like an episode from Married from First Sight where the girl is not into the dude. The dude is more enthusiastic and gets burnt and shuts down. Even when the girl lets him into her heart later, it's too late. If she is really not into you, then you can explore 1-4 with her. Anyway, it's unlikely and rare that your spouse would spontaneously fall in love with you at the same time. That only happens in movies. I think you should make sure she understands that you are crazy in love with her. Don't assume she knows and don't assume your specific actions impress her. She may think you're just being nice for sex. In the corporate world there's team bonding exercises. I think something similar would help you too. Be creative. Try marriage counseling, but not just anyone. Find a therapist that can suggest, provide a plan to bring you together. Ask in advance to outline the treatment plan. If they're experienced, they have some ideas. You got married in November and this is March. It's too early to throw in the towel. It is likely that she is developing feelings at much a slower pace. You won't know unless you ask. As a fellow South Asian, I can tell you this. Your experience of AM is not the same as hers. She was likely under far greater pressure. Lot of women grit their teeth so they can get through the matchmaking process. After a while, it is entirely joyless. This is not your fault. Just know that she might not have walked into this marriage with a romantic view or hope of a loving marriage. Talk to her and lay out your feelings. Ask her if she wants to make a good faith effort. Definitely consider counseling. I'm still stuck in the part where you thought surprising her with dinner and flowers was abuse. I, 22 female. Think my boyfriend, 25 male, is a psychopath and I'm afraid to go to sleep tonight. I want to preface this by saying we have children together, no childcare for our youngest two, and it would be very difficult, lengthy to uproot myself and children until they're older. So for now leaving him isn't an option. I'm starting to really believe he's a psychopath. At first I was attracted to how smart he was, but for the past year or so he's been pretending to be incompetent. Like he can build a car engine but doesn't know how to use the microwave. He generally carries this air of incompetence in everything he does when I know he's extremely intelligent. That's literally what attracted me to him. After the first year of our relationship his compulsive lying became apparent. He lies about anything and everything, even things that are ridiculous to lie about. He told me he used to take medication for anger, but never went into much detail, didn't ask. Not my business, but he never really shows symptoms of anger issues? I have reason to believe he completely lacks empathy. I find myself pouring my heart out and begging him to put himself in my shoes often. I beg him to communicate with me or show some form of emotion and he literally doesn't know how. It's like I'm teaching him how to feel emotions, but it never feels authentic when he does it. The past few months he's been having these weird delusions. Something he's never done, or shown me, before now. He'll randomly ask me, "Are you real?" and genuinely look terrified of me like I'm a monster or something. What happened tonight is what really scares me. We got into an argument over something I'll spare you the details on, and he began acting very strange. He started telling me he doesn't feel real, started walking around all weird. Asked me if I was real, exhibited just really bizarre behavior. I even thought he might be on drugs because he was acting so strange. I asked him to go to sleep because he was really freaking me out. He refused to get in bed even though his eyes were red from being so tired. I finally convinced him to lay down, but he keeps making weird noises, like a bang on the wall, in the other room. I'm currently in the living room, he is in our bed, and when I go in to ask about it he pretends he doesn't hear it himself when I know it's him. I'm scared he's going through some sort of psychosis. It's 2 a.m. He's usually asleep around 11 p.m. I literally can't sleep until he's asleep because I'm afraid. What do I do? Do these behaviors sound familiar to anyone? Any idea what might be going on with him? Update. He is asleep now. I am not in fear of my life or anyone else's. I am no doctor, but this sounds like an actual mental illness of some sort. I would seek professional help for him. And you should leave ASAP with your child and get him diagnosed. You have no idea the severity of it or what could possibly happen. It's a huge risk right now. This sounds like a no sleep post. It's that concerning. I am sorry that you have to go through this. This is unsettling for sure. The first thing I thought was that it reminded me a bit of this Reddit post about a user who felt detached from reality and everyone else. But yeah, it also sounds a lot like paranoid schizophrenia. You need to get yourself to safely and call whatever emergency number is applicable in your country to get help for him, and this might indeed be getting him into a psychiatric ward of sorts against his will. That's not psychopathy, that sounds like paranoid schizophrenia. You need to get out of that house because people with paranoid schizophrenia are not safe to be around, especially undiagnosed, and this sounds like an extreme case of it. Please try to get out of that house. Get your child, get out of the house, and he needs to get diagnosed. This sounds like a mental health issue and you are not safe with him until he is getting treatment and cleared to have you back in the home. You have a lot of people hovering in this subreddit wondering if you're safe. Can you please let us know that you're safe? Just because it's not easy doesn't mean you shouldn't leave. Don't leave the life of you or your children down to convenience. He needs to get help, then you can talk about your relationship, but he shouldn't be living with children at the moment. He's clearly not in the mental state to do so. He could also be trying to freak you out, so you do leave and he can make you seem like the bad guy. Thank you all for talking this out with me. This has been very validating for me. I am not happy with my life at this point, and staying here out of convenience is a disservice to me and my kids. I deserve to be happy and have my feelings validated, not by strangers lol. I will never be happy if I stay, so there's only one thing to do, I guess. I haven't opened up to my family at all about our issues, but I think I'm going to reach out tomorrow and come up with a plan to leave. Could be a multitude of things. Maybe he's got schizophrenia. Maybe he's been severely depressed for a long time and is now at breaking point. Or maybe he's just gaslighting you into thinking he's crazy, so you don't leave him. Depending on where you're from, you should call a mental health crisis team to come evaluate him and hopefully get him into a psych ward. My 17-year-old daughter has had her boyfriend over at our house every single day for the past 2 months. I make sure he leaves at a reasonable time, however she has taken it upon herself to feed him dinner, sometimes lunch also on weekends, every single day he is here. To the point where tonight I ordered pizza and he ate enough that there wasn't enough for everyone else. I got 1 slice. I want to be reasonable, but I'm fed up with her giving this guy all of our food like that. Tonight I told them that we are not running a soup kitchen, and every once in a while is okay, but he needs to stop eating at our house every day. Am I being too aggressive or is she being too carefree? That's a conversation to have with your daughter. I would ask why he always eats here and if he's being fed at home, but that's just me. Growing up, my mom made sure to feed anyone under her roof and was happy to feed our friends, especially if she knew they had it a bit harder at their homes. Boyfriends included. Kids get really embarrassed about stuff like this, so I would definitely just address it with her, in a way she doesn't feel like you're dissing her man, and then she can relay the resolution to her boyfriend. I would first ask if he was avoiding his house. Maybe something is happening or happened at home where he doesn't feel comfortable or welcomed. If it ends up being nothing, then I would definitely set some boundaries. I probably would have told your daughter that in private rather than giving her boyfriend shit for it. You don't really know what his situation is, and he may not be getting fed at his home properly, which is why with your daughter's encouragement he comes over more and more. Other than that, no, you're not in the wrong. It's your house, your money and your food. He's not your kid, so you're not responsible for him. At 17 she most likely is just thinking that she loves having her boyfriend over and clearly feels comfortable to have him over often, which in my opinion is a good thing. But, since it bugs you so much, you should just have a conversation with your daughter. Like others have commented, maybe his home life is not that great, but maybe they both don't understand the money aspect of buying food for everyone in the house. Have a calm conversation and just see what is going on and then go from there. I suspect they are just young and in love and don't realize the monetary aspect of it. Okay, honestly I would have been pissed if any guest ate so much pizza that my own family members couldn't get a slice. I get the irritation and can't imagine even at my most hungry state ever doing something like that at someone's house. Probably should have pulled your daughter aside and given her the opportunity to talk to him first before telling the boyfriend, but I get the resentment. You need better ways to communicate boundaries with your own daughter. And not with your guest. Love the Reddit psychology. Red flags. Child abuse. Maybe he's homeless and starving. Or maybe he's a growing teenage boy and they just eat a ton. And his nice girlfriend keeps offering him lots of food, so why the hell not? Not aggressive. But a conversation with your daughter to explain how you feel would be more appropriate, and something like an agreement he can come over on X days, not daily, or whatever you feel is necessary to show the boundary.